Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, Alex Pitt.
Hello pals, welcome back. I just went to start recording and I've been royally mugged off by my own father. So shout out to my dad. I sent him a meme. We have a very similar sense of humour. So yeah, we share a lot of these things. And yeah, I just sent him this meme and he's just responded, haha, very funny. Although you sent me this on the 14th of July, 2023. So I just got called out by my own father for my lack of new material. Cheers, Pops. Fucking hell, unbelievable scenes. I'll get back to him on that, I will. Right, so two things happened this week that inspired this episode, and one of them was actually a flashback to a previous episode. It's one that people mention to me a lot. So when people discover this podcast, it's something I'm very proud and honoured to be able to say actually, that when people discover Build Your Maverick Business, they tend to go right back to the start and binge all of the episodes. I guess it helps that I keep these silly little stories quite short, so it's easier to do that. But yeah, there's one episode that people mention to me a lot, and it's the one where I go on a big rant about a particular furniture retailer. You know the retailer I mean. We all know what I'm talking about. If you haven't heard that episode, it is called Every Touch Point Counts. I think it first aired around September 2022. So we're going back a little while now. So if you haven't listened to it, and you can't be asked to go back and listen to it, that's all right. I get it, pals. I won't take offence. But to summarise, I had a quite frankly embarrassing encounter with £1 billion global brand because I ordered from them. I ordered a product. They sent me the wrong product, and then a comedy of errors ensued that went on for weeks. I had to drag a very heavy table on public transport during a heat wave, and even then they just looked at me like I'd crawled out of someone's arse. I'm like, what's this? Anyway, I'm not going to get back into it. I've lived that once. I'm not doing it again. In short, they fucked me off beyond measure, and I vowed never to shop from them again. Just to reiterate, this was aired in September 2022, and so would have been recorded around August that year. It's now February in 2024 and I have stuck to my guns. I have not been back. So Joe and I were driving through Wembley the other day and honestly it was like an out-of-body experience. I saw that store from across the A road and just flipped them off. Just gave them the finger. Didn't even feel it coming. Just happened. Joe obviously saw this and laughed at me and said, to be fair, you have stuck to what you said. You've not set foot in that place. Kudos for staying really fucking angry at a brand. True to my word, stubborn cow that I am. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll forgive them. Maybe. But the wounds are still fresh. Right now we actually need a new bed frame, but it is not worth the brain cells I lost from the last shit show. So I'll leave that for now. So that's one thing that happened this week. I was reminded of how much disdain I felt for a brand despite actually loving their products because of the customer service that I experienced. So the second thing that happened, I've mentioned that I'm doing some design work at the moment and I was working on a large format print job, right? One of those enormous vinyls that you see them putting in windows, especially when they're turning a new store around, you know, they don't want you to see in. So they put up these big vinyls. So I was working on one of those and large format print is probably my least favourite thing I've ever done in the grand scheme of design work. That's because if you fuck up, you fuck up on a pretty monstrous scale. It's really, really nerve-wracking when you send the artwork over to the printer. You've checked it a million times, but there's bound to be something you've missed. There's always that sort of ominous feeling in the back of your mind that you've done something wrong. I once worked, this is the only time I've ever made a mistake actually, to be fair, in my quite long career. I once worked on a 20-foot giant hoarding for a shopping centre, and despite it getting signed off by 2 designers and 3 senior managers, we still spelt the name of the company wrong. Somehow. It wasn't up for long and no one said anything, so hey ho. But anyway, this job that I was looking at this week, this job that I was managing needed a quick turnaround. So we wanted to take on a printer to handle it all that was local to where it was going to be put in. So I contacted 3 printers at the same time so we could compare quotes, we could get a bit of a range of ideas of what this was going to look like. And one of them is the one I wanted to talk to you about. So this one, I googled all of them, literally just typed in printer near me, and one of them had 5-star reviews. Now I must say that the 5-star reviews were the only thing going for this place on paper, literally. The website was laid out horrifically. Like, it looked like it had been made by the owner's son in the 90s and hadn't been touched since. And that's okay, like, I get it. Local business, you haven't got a huge budget for a fancy website, that's okay. However, you are listing design services as one of the things that you offer, so I'm a bit like, oh, not feeling super confident right now. So when I contacted them, I said, this is what we need. And I did get a response pretty quickly, almost immediately in fact, which was great. But beyond that, it was a bit of a fucking nightmare trying to communicate with this man. Now, I've been in this game for a long time. I've been working with printers for a long, long time. I know what they need to know to give me a quote, to give me the right information. So I provided all of that information up front. I said, these are the dimensions. Here is the artwork. These are the materials that we're going to want to use. This is how fast we're going to need it. And this is where you're going to have to put it in. All of that information given up front. The other 2 printers came back to me immediately with quotes. And dates that they could install. Like that. Like, quick as anything. This guy was a little bit hesitant, let's say. He was a bit hesitant to actually even tell me if he could complete this job. And now we only communicated over email. The whole time we were talking, we never spoke on the phone. But I just imagined him sat behind a dusty old desk, behind piles of paper, typing with just one index finger, and taking a sip of coffee after every 5 characters. Like, so slow was his response after that first initial email. And the thing that struck me, the most painful thing, was that he would always respond, not to the question I'd actually asked, but as if he was just being distracted by something shiny and just wanted to tell me something that had nothing to do with our previous conversation. So I was like, okay, so this needs to be a white vinyl. Okay, here are all the colours that we provide with Pantone references. I've just told you it needs to be white, pal. Why are we doing this? I said to him, it wants to be matte, not glossy. He starts explaining to me how the process of installing a glossy vinyl works. Well, that's lovely. I'm glad you're so knowledgeable about the thing that I do not want to buy from you. How about telling me how much my actual vinyl's going to cost? My dude. No, this went on for fucking ages. So anyway, I'm thinking, okay, this guy's a local business. Don't be a dick, Al, just... try and get to the point where he can at least give you a quote for the work. So I can say, I've gotten all of the information and they're not the right people for me. So about 4 days after I'd had the completed quotes from the other 2 printers, I had to follow up with this fella because he hadn't responded. And I said, hi, can't remember his name. Hello, sir, how are you getting on with that quote? And he responded to that email with the opening sentence, hi, Alex, thank you for this new email. I was like, right, no, that's it. Thank you for this new email. Honey, I would not be sending you this new email if you're responding to that old email, you cheeky prick. So in the end, I was like, no, he didn't actually even give me a quote in the end because he said, we have the best machines in London and we're just not sure if we can make this work. Well, you don't have the best machines in London because somebody else did make it work. So I went with a printer who probably was quite expensive in the grand scheme of things, but this other guy was just annoying me. He, like that furniture retailer, may actually have had the best machines. He may have had the best product, but I was put off and I didn't want to work with him anymore. So kids, the moral of the story is this. You can't rely just solely on your product to make your business successful. There are way too many other factors at play. When I say your product, this counts for service-based businesses as well. You can be the very best at what you do. You can be the best designer, the best photographer, the best copywriter. But if you are a terminal arsehole or a fucking chore, then you're going to put people off. The soft skills involved in creating a working relationship are crucial to success. They are. Not just the service itself. If you listen to last week's episode about user experience, you'll know that you can't just rely on a product. You have to have a good system for selling that product that won't put people off, irritate them, bore them, send them off to a competitor. You don't want any of those things to happen. You've got to think about everything else. The full, I hate this expression, but the full 360 approach. But it's everything from the messaging that draws people in, your brand and how they talk about you when you're not in the room, the user experience, we've done that one, check. customer service, delivery times and prices. Aligning everything to suit those ideal clients or customers of yours is a big task. I know there's a lot of things to consider, there's a lot of moving parts, but trust me when I say it is worth it to keep yourself living rent-free in their mind as a dream to buy from. Don't we all want that? Alright, my loves. Bit top level, but something to think about. I'm off to look at bed frames. Wish me luck. Have a wonderful week. I will catch you here next time. If you love what you're hearing in this podcast, but you are still yet to start that rebel empire of your own, I've got something that might help. Head over to the show notes of this episode where you will find a free 7-step action plan to kickstarting your first side hustle. It's got pretty pictures, it's got activities. What more could you want, my loves? Get it downloaded, try it out, let me know how you get on.